Georgy Zhukov was one of the most famous generals in the Soviet Union. He was born in Russia on December 1, 1896. Zhukov became known for his great skill in battles during the Second World War. He was strong, smart, and brave. His actions helped defeat the Nazis and change the course of history. Let's look at some important parts of his life and work. When Zhukov was young, Russia was a very different place. It was a time of wars and big changes. He decided to join the army when he was 19 years old. He went to a military school and learned how to be a good soldier. He worked hard and became a good officer. His time in the army helped him to grow as a leader and gave him the skills he needed for later battles. In the 1930s, Zhukov was part of the Soviet army. He worked his way up and became an important officer. He was in charge of many soldiers and learned how to lead them in big battles. His time in the army helped him build his experience and make good decisions. During this time, he also learned a lot about the enemy and how to fight in wars. World War II started in 1939. In 1941, the Nazis attacked the Soviet Union. This was a big problem because the Nazis were strong and wanted to take over Russia. They came quickly, and many Soviet soldiers were not ready for such a big fight. But Zhukov was ready. He was put in charge of a big group of soldiers to protect Moscow, the capital of the Soviet Union. This was one of the most important jobs in the war. Zhukov showed his bravery when the Nazis came close to Moscow. He planned a counterattack. This meant that the Soviet army would fight back against the Germans. Zhukov was very smart in his planning. He knew that the Soviet soldiers had to be quick and fight with everything they had. They attacked the Nazis when they least expected it. The weather also helped. The Germans were not ready for the cold Russian winter, and many of them did not have warm clothes. Because of Zhukov's plan and the Russian weather, the Nazis were stopped. This was a turning point in the war. It was one of the first big defeats for the Nazis, and it showed that they could be beaten. After the victory near Moscow, Zhukov continued to lead many battles. He was in charge of battles in many important places. One of the most famous battles was the Battle of Stalingrad. This battle was one of the most difficult and longest in the war. It happened in the city of Stalingrad, which was on the Volga River. The Nazis wanted to take this city because it was very important for Russia. They wanted to control it to make their army stronger. Zhukov played a very big role in the defense of Stalingrad. He gave important orders to Soviet soldiers, telling them how to fight and when to attack. He also used clever strategies to confuse the Nazis. One of his most famous tactics was to use a trap. The Soviets waited for the Nazis to move deep into the city, and then they attacked from all sides. This strategy made the Germans trapped in Stalingrad, and they could not escape. The battle was hard for both sides, but the Soviets won. This was another big defeat for the Nazis, and it was one of the most important victories for the Soviet Union in World War II. Zhukov didn't stop fighting after Stalingrad. He continued to lead the Soviet army in many other important battles. In 1944, he helped liberate Ukraine from the Nazis. He also helped push the Nazis out of Belarus. His army kept moving west, and they finally reached Berlin, the capital of Germany, in 1945. Zhukov played a big part in the final defeat of Nazi Germany. The fall of Berlin was a very important moment in the war. It meant the end of Nazi rule in Europe. The Soviets and their allies, including the United States and Britain, won the war together. However, the Soviet Union was one of the main countries that helped defeat the Nazis, and Zhukov was a hero in this victory. After the war, Zhukov was recognized as one of the greatest military leaders of the time. He was given many medals and awards for his bravery and skills. The Soviet people loved him and saw him as a symbol of strength and victory. He was promoted to the rank of Marshal, which is one of the highest ranks in the military. However, not everyone liked Zhukov. Some people in the Soviet government felt that he was too powerful. He was very popular with the people, but some leaders felt that he could become a threat to their power. Because of this, Zhukov was removed from some of his important positions after the war. Even though he was no longer in charge of the army, he still remained a respected figure in Soviet history. Zhukov spent the last years of his life writing about his experiences in the war. He wanted to tell people what happened during the battles and how the Soviet army fought to win. He also shared many of the lessons he learned as a military leader. He died on June 18, 1974, but his legacy lived on. Many people still remember him as one of the greatest military leaders in history. Zhukov's story is one of courage, intelligence, and leadership. He showed that with determination and clever strategies, it is possible to overcome even the most difficult situations. His work in World War II helped change the course of history. His story reminds us of the importance of strong leadership and the power of fighting for what is right. Even today, Georgy Zhukov is remembered as a hero in Russia and around the world for his bravery and leadership during one of the darkest times in history.